I am furious. Yes, I'm annoyed again to see mainstream reviewers talking rubbish about photographic gear. Right, let's put it this way. I don't believe I'm alone here, but it's a free world, and I would like to express my sincere opinion on most today's popular media platforms, and that include YouTube, and yes, listen, some major and established digital magazines and websites. I can forgive camera companies' marketing, because at the end of the day, they just want to sell cameras. But they didn't help a bit either in misleading photographers, especially new photographers, to believe in a certain way. And you may think that, okay, I'm a Michael Four Thirds shooter and an OM ambassador, but hey, I actually still have my full-frame Leica gear, together with a bunch of medium format cameras that I still use today. So I'm not trying to convert anyone here, but only want to say that today's digital medium is toxic and ruining photography world at the very base level. Things were a lot simpler back in the old school analog days, when cameras were pretty much the same across the board. And the only thing that separates a flagship camera and an entry-level camera is build, speed, or whether it's maximum shutter speed, continuous burst rate, and AF speed. Pros get flagship cameras for their reliability and fast autofocus, so they can do their jobs better and quicker. Time is money, right? But many amateurs create stunning images and prints from cheap entry-level cameras. And people care less back in the days because, well, why spend more when you can achieve the same images with this camera that costs 5 times less? Thanks to modern-day digital marketing and influencers, and this concept has long buried deep under the world. Well, if you go onto any website, photography articles, or watch any YouTube review videos, you will see a very, very different picture. A picture that really disgusts me. Right, I'm not a photography master like Annie Leibovitz, Steve McCurry, or even Martin Parr, but I am a professional who makes a living from photography for the past 17 years. So my insight is that a camera has always been a tool to make images, and that's it. I have cheap cameras, and I have expensive camera, and I also have smartphones. I don't see one is better than other because, yeah, once you know the limits of each of the cameras, you work within those limits. And each device has its pros and cons. It all depends on what I want to achieve at the time. But recently, you hear DP Review says that, sorry Chris, that you will move to full frame eventually if you go pro. And full frame is the pro's choice. Really? Then I read another article from Digital Camera World's website, headlining something like the best photography camera, which has since changed the title to the cheapest full-frame camera. But still, from the original title, it also suggests that full-frame is the only way to get the best for your photography, especially pro. And Tournai? Well, I don't need to remind you about them at all. So, what is going on? The fact is, this trend hasn't changed at all, and continue to the point that, well, at least to me, misleading, with no substance in any education. And I wouldn't disagree if they, let's say, educate photographers on the positives and negatives on each of the platforms, including even larger sensors like the medium format. But the truth is, they know the trend, and they just work with the trend, because they know that is what sells. I do feel sorry for modern photographers, constantly have to battle with gear talk. I get questions so many times from beginner photographers that what camera should I get? Is full frame the best? But I like the look of the Fuji cameras. Or should I take out a loan to get the new Sony? Well, do you see what's in common in these questions? None. And I mean not a single one question asked about how to take better photos. As an educator myself who run workshops to teach the next generation of photographers, I am truly heartbroken. Really. When did this world become such a materialistic obsessed place? If you still go to art galleries or buy photo books, do you see any information on the spec of the cameras that the photographers took of those great images? I'm not even talking about old master works from Ansel Adams or Henri Cartier-Bresson, but modern digital masters. A great image is always a great image, regardless. Some digital prints that you see today may have been taken 6 to 7 years ago using an older 16 megapixel camera. But does that mean that this image can't compete with images from today's 100 megapixel cameras? Technologies do move on and advance, for sure. And it's great news for any photographers who likes to push the limits. But at the same time, one should never drill down too much or worry about photographic gear they use. And photography is a work of art. A great image combines the knowledge of the photographer, his or her creative vision, and to certain degrees, the rendering of the lens that one may choose to fully utilize for that creative vision. A camera, however, is only a mere conduit. To answer those beginners' question, I always say the same thing. Just get something that works. A camera that allows you to fully engage in manual mode. And that is all you need. So, I sincerely hope that I see more creative works from new photographers. I know gear buying is fun. And trust me, I'm also guilty of that myself. But ultimately, if you're serious about photography, focus on photography, not cameras. And cameras are only cameras. You are the photographer. Peace.